think a lot of us here, or I know I've heard a lot, is that you are what you eat. And not just you are what you eat, but you are what your food eats. And there's a lot of different phrases on like grocery store items and whatnot that are like grass-fed beef because the beef eats grass and it's not fed corn or any other products or stuff like that. How important do you feel like it is for farming and for nutritional stuff and for sustainability and environmental? How important is it to us for us to actually consider what our food eats?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important, but probably what I'm going to get into might surprise you a little bit. So, actually, for the most part, if you are on a dairy or cattle ranch, your cows actually have a nutritionist. So, we have a nutritionist that comes in and plans all of our cows' diets. We are a conventional dairy, so we do have our cows eat corn. But I think there is this like giant misconception that when people think about corn, they think like we're just like throwing corn on the cob, right? Like out into the cows feed bunks or, hay alleys as we call them. When in reality, what we feed our cows is actually what's called a total mixed ration. Tons of grass, hay and grass you could kind of use interchangeably. We do also feed corn, but one of the things that surprises people when we bring them out to the dairy is we feed a lot of corn silage. So it's where we chop the plant when it's green and we chop the leaves, the stems, the corn on the cob too. But when you look at it, I always joke it looks more like a Southwest like chicken sandwich or salad
Yeah.
versus like a corn on the cob, right? Like it's a little more like it has some of the corn in it, but it has a lot of leafy greens. And then there's tons of other things that we feed the cows. But the reason we worked with a nutritionist is because we want to make sure they're getting the right balance of protein, carbs, vitamins, minerals, all those things, because what they eat is so important. The cow, how healthy the cow is, how high quality the milk is, even how much milk she produces, goes back a lot of it to their diets. And so feeding them a really high quality, well balanced diet is absolutely crucial.
Okay, I'm super excited to dive a little bit maybe further into this. But I had so much fun watching some of the podcasts that you and Natalie had done before. So your sidekick Natalie isn't with us today, but you guys have the Discover Ag podcast, and you guys do such a great job of like being fun, talking about everyday topics, a little bit of pop culture and stuff. But it's such a great podcast. So you guys need to make sure you guys check it out. Discover Ag podcast on YouTube, on Apple Podcast app, and on Spotify and everything like that. So how healthy the cow is, that is impactful of what their lifespan, the quality of the meat that they produce, how much meat they produce, the quality of the milk, how much milk, what all is kind of the outcome that you're looking for when it comes to maintaining the health of the cow.
Yeah, so my co-host is a cattle rancher, so we can talk beef as well. I'm fairly familiar with beef. Those are kind of our wheelhouses. We always joke that we're like the cattle girlies, so we can talk cattle all day. But I'll focus a little bit on the dairy side because there is definitely differences. I mean, just like there's different breeds of dogs, like a dachshund is not a greyhound. Same with beef cows versus dairy cows. They are very different cows. But yeah, the dairy side of things, the diet is, I've mentioned, really important. Genetics are also so important. So being that my degree is in environmental science, a lot of times I go back to sustainability. And I always think a really fun fact about dairy is one of the things that has made dairy more sustainable year over year. And there's some amazing statistics. Dairy actually did their second comprehensive life cycle analysis of exactly what goes into producing a gallon of milk. But a big part of that is the better the genetics and the better the diet, the more sustainable the cow is. So the better the genetics, again, going to the longevity, which I think you kind of touched on a second ago, how long the cow is on our farm for, as well as how much milk she produces. But it's a little more nuanced than that. So yes, we obviously want more milk. We are paid per pounds per milk. But I think there's this misconception that when dairy farmers say, oh, we want more milk, that it's like efficiency and like, words that like it just doesn't always resonate with what that means exactly. But there's other things. The milk quality is also really important. So one of the other things that we're paid on that people don't talk about is components. So the components of milk, whether that be, the fats that are in there, the butter fat, the things that we love about milk, and those components, and then the quality as well. And so there's a ton to it as far as like the back end. I always love to share because I think it surprises people. Every tank of milk that leaves my farm is tested before it leaves my farm to the parts per billion, parts per trillion for all sorts of quality assessments. It's tested again at the plant. and then it's tested during bottling. If at any point, like if they at my farm when it's tested, if it doesn't meet every single criteria all the way down to the temperature of the milk, they will not pick it up. And the milk has to be dumped and the farmer has to pay for it. So there is just so many like cool checks and balances in place of like ensuring that milk quality. But again, like a lot of it goes back truly to the health of the cow.
Wow. Wow. I'm excited to dive into some milk and cheese questions too, because I think those are like somewhat hot topics